I read some dark romances. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Now today I'm going to be wrapping up a few of the dark romances that I have read recently in this past week. I figured it would be a good video to share because I know a lot of my viewers and a lot of viewers on the booktube community like to read darker romances. I don't know why I want to read darker romances. I think it's just because we've been experiencing a lot of gloomy weather here in Canada, and it's been raining, it's been dark, we haven't seen the sun and for so long, and especially since we're in isolation right now, it's getting very difficult on our personalities and our moods. So since I'm a mood reader, I've been choosing a lot of darker romances, and I've also been reading a lot of romantic suspense. I find them so interesting. I find them so fast-paced to listen to on Audible Escape. So I'll be also talking about some romantic suspense recommendations for you as well if you guys like that. And then also I just want to give like a quick warning for people who don't know really darker romances and what they are about. But basically darker romances feature a lot of taboo elements. There's a lot of trigger warnings towards the books, so I always recommend you to do your research before you purchase or before you pick up a darker romance, in case you read it and there are some sensitive topics to it that you find harmful. Always make sure you do your research, because while I do try to be upfront about the things that are happening in the book, sometimes I do miss things, and I never want to cause you guys distress while reading a romance that I've talked about in this video. So with all that being said, let's get started on the darker romances that I have read. So I just want to start off with the fact that I've read 2 Kay Webster books for this video, and Kay Webster is a author that has written a lot of dark romances on Kindle and that are available on Kindle and available on Kindle Unlimited. If you guys don't know who Kay Webster is, she was the one that wrote a book that got banned on Amazon because it was a little bit too taboo. It had a lot of issues in it that people didn't like and people didn't stomach well. So that, with that being said, you should already realize that the topics that she writes about are somewhat obscure and somewhat a little bit freaky and somewhat a little bit weird. So make sure you do your research before you pick up a Kay Webster novel. So the first book that I read is Dr. Dan. Now this book features a teenager who is like 18 years old, so she's legal, but she gets injured, or she feels a lot of pain in her stomach area, and that basically sends her to the hospital, where she meets our main male character, Dan, and he's called Dr. Dan. Basically, he grows obsessed with her because he has like this strong connection with her the moment he lays his eyes on her, and it's like that insta-love attraction. And she's like innocent and she doesn't want a part of the relationship because she knows deep down there's something wrong with her because of her genetics and the reason why her mom has passed away, and she knows that she can't live a normal life. So starting a relationship is definitely very difficult for her, while Dr. Dan is always there to try to make her feel better and also to be part of her life, no matter how short and no matter how hard it is to be with someone with a chronic illness. And this one is not very taboo. There's nothing really happening in it that makes you feel uncomfortable. It's just a normal kind of like darker romance that features characters that are going through a lot of emotional grief and a lot of other elements. I guess like it's taboo in a sense because Dr. Dan is a lot older than our female character by like maybe like a decade or by like a couple of years that make it seem uncomfortable for some, but otherwise it was just nothing really special, and I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars. So the next book that I read is also from Kay Webster, and this one's called Enzo. So this one tells a story about a girl who's in the foster care system. She is in a house that is not safe at all. Like the foster parents do not take care of the kids and they starve the kids. They only are taking in more kids into the house in order to basically take the money from the government and use it for themselves, and not to actually properly clothe the children or properly take care of the children. So when they take in basically a newborn baby, she is entrusted to take care of this child, and she doesn't want to grow attached to anything because she's very close to turning 18 herself, and she just wants to leave the house and be her own individual person who doesn't have to rely on anyone. So this baby is really kind of like slowing down her plans, but she starts to take care of this child and she starts to really like the child and actually starts loving the child to the point that she considers her to be like the little sister. And she's having trouble basically keeping her alive because nobody's like taking care of the bills and nobody's like taking her to the hospital when she needs it. And she, being a student in high school, doesn't really have the income to support it. So she actually calls the child protection services that get introduced into the story. And that's where she meets Enzo, who is a man who is entrusted to keep like tabs on the file of this family and making sure that the family is not crossing the line. And it's like this taboo relationship between like the caretaker and like this girl in the system, and it's like a forbidden relationship. And it's like the angsty parts because he's trying to be professional and try to like take care of the situation, but also he knows that in a court of law, a lot of the things that they're doing right now isn't really illegal, and it's like very hard to prove. So he's just kind of like biding his time and waiting for them to mess up in order for him to come and save the day. So this one, once again, is a very basic romance. It just has darker elements to it because there's like some like other themes in it that are a little bit harder to stomach, but otherwise I give this one a 3 out of 5 stars. So the next book that I read was also a K. Webster novel. So I said that I read 2 K. Webster novels, but I actually read 3 because I forgot about this one. But Coach Long is the first K. Webster novel that I read for this video, and Coach Long is definitely a very taboo romance. So I don't think this one's like a very darker one, but it does have its dark elements. So this one's a taboo short, so it's only like 100 and something pages. This one features a older man and younger female relationship. It's also a very taboo relationship because it's a teacher-student relationship. So Coach Long is a coach, and he sees this new girl that comes in to join his track team, and she's very different from others. She's very quirky, she's outspoken, she likes to sass back at him, and he's just like kind of like turned on about it, and he's like obsessing over her in a way, but it's like not as bad. And then things happen to her where she is almost borderline sexually assaulted by another staff member, and that's where like the darker things start to come and happen and play. And it's about like the coach taking care of the situation and also protecting her and making sure that she is safe. And I thought this one was a little bit weird because it was like an older man and a younger girl romance. And then like I just didn't feel like it was like a good one because it was also a teacher student. And then like what happened with the other teacher that harmed the main female character, I was like, but our hero's doing the same thing in a way, even though it's consensual. But I was just like, this is just very weird. I don't really like this taboo thing going on. So, and then I just ended up giving this one a 2 out of 5 stars. So the next darker romance, or a romance that had darker elements to it, is The Next Door Incubus by Destiny Diaz. And now this book is kind of like mythology slash fantasy slash paranormal. So basically we have like a god, an archangel, we have the devil, and we have demons. And this is very uncharacteristic of me to read because normally I only stick to my contemporaries and books that are present in the real world, but for some reason I just wanted to read something with a paranormal romance to it. And this one is about basically a girl who's in a happy relationship with a guy for a very long time until the next door neighbors move in, and until she starts having like sexual fantasies about the next door neighbors. And she's trying to question like what's wrong with her and like why does she have this like strong attraction to him. And it's about readers trying to figure out like this whole like witchcraft like demon relationship world that's happening. So I'm not really familiar with the world of Incubus, and I wasn't even sure like what this thing was, and I didn't even know if this was like a subgenre in like Amazon Kindle that like was very popular among readers. So this is very new to me. So if you guys have read this one before, or if you guys know what this is about, please enlighten me in the comments. But basically it's about like a demon kind of like taking over a girl or taking over a partner and making them fantasize about like them and making them fantasize about sexual relationships. And I was like, okay, like I was just like, okay. What really made me want to keep continuing on this book, no matter how weird it's starting to sound to you guys right now as I'm describing this, is because I wanted to know, why was she so special? Because like everybody was trying to hunt her down, everybody was trying to hurt her, and I was just trying to figure out like what she's got compared to like all the other normal people, because everybody's been saying that she's a human, but I'm like, but what does she have? you know, it's like kind of like Bella from Twilight, if you guys understand what I'm trying to say. But anyways, I thought the story was good. I thought the sex scenes were hot and I enjoyed it. So I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. So the next book that I read is not really like a dark romance, but it's a romantic suspense novel. And it's funny because I was talking to my friends about this book during a live show that I had with Jessica, Lacey, you know, Riley, and also Melissa. And I said I liked Lies by Kylie Scott. And Lies by Kylie Scott is kind of like a remake of the movie with Ashton Kutcher and with Catherine something, like for her last name, but I'll put like the movie poster up here because I forgot the movie as well. So basically this is about a girl that's ready to break up with her fiance because she's not vibing with him anymore, and it's only until she gets looped up in this like weird like plot twist story with explosions and gunfights and like shootings and like more explosions, so she realized that her fiance that she was in love with to begin with is someone that she completely doesn't know, because her fiance is actually an undercover spy and that has been lying about his identity and lying about his occupation and his whole entire life the entire time that they were together. It's the story of them unraveling the secrets that he has been keeping and like the secret organizations that he's working for, and also dealing with all the bad guys and villains that are trying to harm her and harm him and harm everybody else. It's not as dark as I thought it would be, and it's not as like heavy as I thought it would be in a normal typical romantic suspense. I found this one to be very light and easygoing. I thought this was actually sometimes it was kind of funny, and also our main female character was also a badass because she learns how to use a gun and she learns how to defend herself with the gun and she learns how to take out bad guys to protect the main hero. So these are like nice little twists that I like to see in romantic suspense, where our female character isn't as weak and that she can take care of herself and she can also protect other people. I really like that aspect to it, and I ended up giving this one a 5 out of 5 stars because I was thoroughly entertained. So the last 3 romantic suspense novels I want to talk about is actually part of a series, and the series is actually called False by Melly Rain, and the first book is called False Memory. I think I'm just going to talk in general about like the whole series because I don't want to like go into detail because it's like continuations of each other and it just doesn't really make sense. Basically the whole premise of the series is that this girl has been shot in the head and she's in a coma for 14 months, and she is literally on the last couple of months where the doctors are saying that she is going to be a vegetable, she is not going to wake up, and you need to pull the plug so that she can just die and have a peaceful life. But then towards like the last couple of the months that she was on in a coma, she actually comes to it and she actually sees and hears things that are happening around her. So she's desperately trying to use her body to communicate that she is in there, that she will like wake up and recover, and it's her family like dealing with like the mystery behind of why she was targeted and why she was shot, and then it's also her like fighting for her chance to live. So in the last couple minutes her eyes do open and they decide to like not kill her, but she also sees the killer, the person who actually shot her, and she's really smart because she actually decides to keep her knowledge to herself, and she's pretends that she doesn't know a lot of the things so she can gather as much information as she can so that she can really make sure who the killer is, because the killer is still trying to target her and is still trying to kill her. And if you guys are interested in the premise of the story, I suggest you pick up this book through Audible Escape, because I listened to all 3 books on Audible Escape and I thoroughly enjoyed it. The only problem I have with this series is that this series is actually a continuation of another series and is actually under an umbrella of a bigger world. And from what other reviewers have been saying, I do agree with, is that you have to start with like the first series before this second series in order to really get a bigger understanding of like the whole world and also the characters that are coming in from the previous series. While you can still read it and you can still kind of understand it, it just kind of takes away the enjoyment factor of like knowing that you're in that world for sure. And so I ended up giving each of these books 4 out of 5 stars, and I still enjoyed it. But will I continue with the first series, and will I continue with the third series since this is the second series? No, I won't, because I lost interest already and I probably won't read another romantic suspense in a very long time. So anyways, that is it for all the dark romances and all the romantic suspense novels that I did read. Hopefully you guys have added some books into your TBR. Let me know in the comments down below what are your favorite dark romances are so I can check them out during this time in isolation. But until next time, I'll see you guys again. Bye.